Hi there, guys. Good morning. Let's talk about gratitude. And it's not often talked about, I don't think, or talked about enough. And gratitude gets marketed as if it's a mood. And I don't think it's a mood at all. I think it's discipline. And I say that because let's think about it. Most people, to include myself, we give gratitude often when the thing that's done for us and to us puts us in such a great mood. And that's why I said it's marketed as a mood, but I think it's more of a discipline. And I'll explain why I say I think it's a discipline. And it's one of the few things that also makes life less ridiculous. Yeah, I know. Gratitude. Saying thank you and genuinely meaning it. But I mean, I'm talking about the gratitude that we often overlook. Again, we're usually uber grateful for the big things, the big ticket items. But what about just being grateful for a normal morning? Coffee. Routine, even though some would argue that routine can become monotonous, and it can be, but routine, coffee, and quiet. And why should we be grateful for that? Because peace is rare. Until you don't notice it. But how often are we grateful for quiet mornings? But we stop noticing peace until we have to, until we miss it. But I mean, and I don't mean to make it seem as if everybody has time to, be grateful for a quiet morning or even have a normal quiet morning to necessarily be exceptionally grateful for. But what about the fact that our body still works? Are we grateful for that? Of course not, because we want it to have 10 to 12% body fat and look ripped as the guy and the gal down the way. But how often are we just really grateful for walking, breathing, strength, enough to get out of bed, get dressed, get the kids ready for those who have kids and deal with that, the strength to make a cup of good java, to walk, to breathe. Again, why? Because our health is invisible until it isn't. And I've talked about that in other episodes about just how important our health really is. And that too is talked about often, but how often are people taking these things necessarily to, dare I say, heart? But yeah, I mean, walking, breathing, the strength to make a YouTube episode. But we think that gratitude has to be a mood. And I don't subscribe to that at all. What else? How about a person who gets you? I mean, really, when was the last time you thought about being grateful for that? A friend, a spouse, a family member, like a coworker even, that gets you. And you're like, now Warren has gone and lost his marbles, because why is that important? Because being seen is medicine. It is. So when someone truly gets you and understands you, that matters. It's important because we all know that the opposite of that is indifference, not being seen, even though you're visible. So being grateful for a person who gets you, I think, is another good one. I was thinking about that the other day, actually. Because, we all have our quirks and can get on each other's nerves and other people's nerves. Hard seasons that we've survived. And some of us dwell on those, and I'm not saying to do that, but be grateful. And we dwell on them in the opposite form, not in the gratitude form, in the woe, it's me, and how could that have happened to me, and man, my life just sucks. And you get the picture, right? But no, being grateful for those dark seasons, because if we've done what we should do with those and learn from them, then there should be some gratitude for struggling too, the hard seasons that we've survived. We need to be grateful for those, because if we have learned anything from them and put them in perspective, then gratitude, the lonely chapters. In my case, the deployments, again, the lonely chapters, the moments that your soldiers didn't see, because that's not what you do. You're not supposed to. That's another argument too. Are you not supposed to because you're not humans? And I know the context in which we're not supposed to show that, we are having one of those days either. There's a context for that, but those quiet moments, wondering if that day you made the right decisions, no matter what they were, Why is that one important? Because it proves that we can adapt. And if we can, then we can continue. Small wins. That's another one. I think that one should go in the category of advertised as a mood too, because only big wins, man. Landing the next promotion, landing the raise, being able to afford the new car. But what about the small wins? Consistency. The fact that you actually showed up. Why does it matter? Because progress, real true progress, is usually quiet. Everybody knows about your big pay raise, and everybody knows about the promotion. How many people knows about the fact that you finally ran a 3K? Something you've been wanting to do for so long because of pre-existing conditions, or just the fact that you haven't done something like that and wanted to. Finally passing algebra, even if it's with a C. Yours truly. I actually remember that. The struggle, as they say, is real. I'm gonna digress for a minute, but I still don't understand just quite how algebra applies to my everyday life, and why I had to go through that struggle. I don't think I've used algebra since passing it and graduating college, that is. Here's the irony. I did really well with it in high school, like really well. And I don't know what happened in college, but yours truly just couldn't get my head around algebra, and so I struggled, but stayed in the fight and passed with a C, and I'm proud of my C. Small wins, right? And then I think I'll leave you with another really good one. Being grateful for the ability to choose again, to have the ability to at least right whatever mistakes we've made. And if we get a second chance at something else, to actually have the choice to choose again. And why is this one important? Because life can be brutal, and so can we, at least to ourselves. And in some cases to our fellow men too, or our fellow humans too. But we can be brutal to ourselves. And I think this one is significant, the fact that the universe gives us a second chance to choose again. Kind of like it's giving us fresh paper, right, for us to sketch. Not necessarily sketch our lives over, because some of us, that ship might have sailed. But at least to replay some things that we can. And I don't want to make it seem like gratitude makes it seem like everything is fine either, because it's not. Life gets a vote, and often life wins. It just means that we're noticing the good while it's good until it isn't. But gratitude. And not so much for the big ticket. We need to be grateful for the big ticket items too, but not so much for those. But and if you're not feeling grateful, or if you don't necessarily I don't know about believing in it, because I think everybody does believe in it, but if you've not been expressing it, or if you've not been feeling it, it's okay, but not practicing it isn't. I think that's what I wanted to say. Yeah, if you don't feel like being grateful today or all the time, because can't be positive all the time. I mean, I learned that one the hard way. You just can't be. But and I don't mean to be overly philosophical with it, but we need more of it. And I'd love to hear what you think, but gratitude, I don't think it's a mood. Like I said in the beginning, I think it is discipline. And yes, you don't have to get up every day. You're gonna be like, Warren, do I have to get up every day and look around and name it and own it? I'd like you to. It's best if you do it that way. Pick one thing, say it, own it. But you don't have to do all of them. You don't have to get up and I am grateful for. You could. I would say start small, right? Start small. Care on purpose, like I like to say about yourself, to start small. And pick one thing. If you're a coffee drinker or a tea drinker, or whatever beverage you indulge in, or whatever it is you indulge in as a routine, be grateful for it. The opportunity that you get to do it. Visit your favorite coffee joint and have your favorite thing on their menu. Be grateful. But I think that's all I wanted to talk about and say today. So I will leave you with that. And until our next conversation, you be good out there. Take care of yourselves. And we'll talk again soon. I'll see you.